Welcome back to my channel. I noticed during my little vacay that you guys really enjoy hearing me talk about my Scientology trauma, as well as watching me traumatize myself for YouTube views. And lucky for you, I'm doing it again. I have again, once more, traumatized myself, frightened myself to the core, so I can get on here and bring you guys some quality fucking interesting content. So apparently, YouTube don't like it when you cuss within the first 40 seconds, so I'm hoping that I waited until after 40 seconds to say fucking. If I didn't, that is a problem for editing Trinity. I know Halloween is coming on. However, I stumbled across a video of what would happen during a global blackout, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Today I'm going to be talking about something called the Carrington Event that happened in 1859 that genuinely scares the shit out of me, because if it happened today, it would be absolutely devastating. So I'm just going to set the record straight now. Clowns, they don't fucking scare me. Ghost, they don't fucking scare me. Space, though, dude, that space is actively trying to kill us every moment. At every moment, space is trying to mark our asses. So on September 1st, 1859, amateur astronomer Richard Carrington was observing black spots in his private observatory in London. So while sketching pictures of enormous clusters of dark spots on the sun, he bore witness to the most intense geomagnetic storm that had been recorded so far. He described the event as two patches of intensely bright and white lights erupting from the sunspots. Minutes later, they vanished. That evening, telegraph systems began to fail. Auroras lit up the night sky. It falsely convinced day laborers that it was morning and time for them to start the working day. There were birds chirping. Some of these laborers actually got to the job site and started making a bunch of racket, and locals were like, "What are you guys doing? It's the middle of the night." But again, there were auroras all over the night sky. This event is known today as the Carrington Event. This event took place during solar cycle 10. It was the result of a coronal mass ejection, a CME for short, coming from the sun and colliding with Earth's magnetosphere. So a CME is defined as a significant release of plasma and accompanying magnetic field from the sun's corona into the heliosphere. CMEs are often associated with solar flares and other forms of solar activity. So basically, this extremely hot plasma gets launched into space, and normally it just floats and disappears into nothingness, right? But sometimes they come to Earth. Most of the time, our atmosphere absorbs the smaller ones that head our way, and our magnetic field deflects the sun's plasma to the pole, causes an aurora borealis. But this event created auroral displays that were so strong, they were recorded globally. So to give you an example as to why this was so crazy is because normally you can only see the aurora borealis from like the North Pole. But when the Carrington event was taking place, motherfuckers down in Miami were just like seeing in Miami and Cuba, there was like aurora right there, right fucking in front of them. And not only that, but by 1859, we had established the telegraph system. And when this event took place, it completely wiped out the telegraph systems in North America and Europe. There was a geomagnetically induced current from the electromagnetic field that was so strong that despite being disconnected from its power supply, some telegraph operators were still able to send and receive communications. It's been estimated by researchers that if we were to suffer from a Carrington level event like that today, that it would cause $2.6 trillion in damage. Obviously, space weather is insanely difficult to predict, and what's crazy is that the Carrington event of 1859 wasn't the first event like this to take place, and it certainly was not the last and will not be the last. In 1959, when this event took place, we had just started using the telegraph system. So really, the only negative effect that the storm had was that it wiped out the telegraph system and it took a few years to repair it. And it was more so an inconvenience to them back in that time more than anything. Scientists say that Carrington level events can happen about every 500 years or so. And events with half the intensity of a Carrington level event can occur every 50 years, give or take. Normally, there's a 4% chance of a severe solar storm happening every year, and there is a 0.7% chance of a Carrington level event taking place. However, every 11 years, we enter a new solar cycle. Every solar cycle, the sun enters a period of peak activity, and this is called a solar maximum. During a solar maximum, the sun's magnetic poles flip, and the sun's magnetism produces far more sunspots than usual, which can cause more energy and eruptions of particles. Currently, we're in solar cycle 25. This solar cycle began in December of 2019, and this solar cycle is expected to peak and enter its solar maximum in July of 2025. During solar maximum, the risk of a severe solar storm taking place is now at 28%, and the risk of a Carrington level event taking place is now at 4%. So solar storms really, really love electricity. And what covers almost our entire world? Power lines. We are completely dependent on power. So if a solar storm occurs and it's severe enough, it's going to cause all of our power grids to completely fail. And it's not like this is something that hasn't already happened. In 1989, there was a severe solar storm that occurred that ended up leaving people in the Quebec province without power for 9 hours. And in 2003, another solar storm occurred that left people in Canada and in some parts of the US without power for 12 hours. And what's crazy is that these two solar storms were less than half the intensity of a Carrington level event. July 23rd, 2012, a Carrington level solar storm occurred and it missed Earth by just 9 fucking days, bro. This is the part that scares me the most. What would have happened if it didn't miss us by 9 days? And what would happen if it took place right now? So if a Carrington level event were to happen right now, it would completely wipe out the power grids. Most of us would just think that it is a regular power outage. I think it's safe to assume that all of us have experienced a power outage before. However, unlike a normal power outage, you're not going to be able to play on your phone. Because I know when the power's out and I got cellular data, I'm on Facebook, I'm vibing, I'm on Reddit, and everything's good. But if the power grids go, then the internet goes. Power outage is going to occur, and you're going to go get on your phone to be like, oh my god, guys, the power's out, but you're not going to be able to. You're going to realize that you cannot communicate with anybody that isn't right next to you. So you comfort yourself. You tell yourself that it's going to be about a week before things go back to normal, but you're completely unaware that life as you know it has just been thrown back 200 years because it is going to take up to 10 years to restore the power grids. And when the power grids are restored, they're not going to focus on suburbs and houses and stuff. They're going to focus on water treatment centers and hospitals. Almost all water treatment facilities are reliant on electricity to keep them going. Eventually, we're going to lose clean drinking water, and it's probably going to happen within 3 days of the severe solar storm occurring, or sooner. So you're like, okay, no big deal. I'm going to go fill up my gas tank. I'm going to go to my family's property that's a few hundred miles away, and I'm just going to wait out the bullshit there. No, you're not. No, you are not. Because as soon as you get to the gas station, you're going to realize that the gas pumps are reliant on electricity. So then you think, okay, I'm going to do the crackhead method with the hose and get me some gas. But also, no, you're not. Because hundreds of people just had the same bright idea. And that gas station is now a war zone. The power grids are out. So we have no access to modern heating and cooling methods. We are spoiled. We do not know how to care for ourselves naturally and in extreme conditions. So people who live in extreme weather conditions are going to die because they are not equipped to handle that severity of weather without electricity. Almost all of Europe's heating system As far as I know, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But almost all of Europe's heating and cooling systems are powered by gas. So if the power grids go and there's no way to get the gas to power these heating and cooling systems, Europe's fucking cold. People are going to freeze to death. Hospitals are going to be entirely overwhelmed by the injury that's going to occur during the first hour of this event taking place. Hospitals do have backup generators. However, they only have enough gas to last for a very minimal amount of time. So after a few days, you're not even going to be able to seek proper medical care. I am a firm believer in hoarding cash in secure, safe places. Banks do not have a physical dollar for every person's dollar in their bank accounts at every bank. Most money are just dots and dashes in computer systems. So when the power grids fail and these systems fail, we are facing to lose trillions in monetary value because your money does not actually exist outside of a computer. But don't worry, because after a little while, even the little amount of cash that you do have is no longer going to matter. Society's going to fail. You've eaten all the food that you have at your house. Plumbing is non-existent at this point. You have no clean drinking water. You have no way to flush your toilets. You have no way to bathe. You are going to go into survival mode. We'd all like to think that during a time of need like this, we're all going to like hold hands, kumbaya, we're in this together, we're going to figure it out. But we all know that that is not going to happen. Soon, people are going to begin looting every store. They're going to begin looting cars, houses, stealing the gas out of your gas tanks. Big cities and suburban areas are at the most risk for this happening. And then, even if you live kind of in the middle of nowhere, eventually people are going to find you and they're going to want your resources, and you are going to have no choice but to fight for your resources. By this time, governments are panicking and they have absolutely no way to communicate with one another. They know something bad has happened, but they have no idea exactly the magnitude of the situation. The governments are going to want to keep the peace. They're going to initiate task force to come and try to calm everybody down, tell everybody to stay indoors, try to reassure people not to panic. But that's obviously not going to work because society is collapsing and everybody's realizing that society is collapsing and it is going to be an entire war zone. Martial law will be declared globally by many governments. It is going to be everyone for themselves. Every man for themselves. That's basically what's going to end up happening. So the supermarkets at this point are completely looted. People are going to resort to hunting and finding crop fields. However, there's like this many people in America alone that actually know how to hunt and that actually know how to properly use a gun. What people I don't think realize, because I personally did not realize this until I was researching for this video, the only reason the earth has been able to sustain 7.5 billion people is because of electricity and gas. The machines that are used to harvest and water the crops, the refrigeration systems that keep the meat that have been butchered fresh, they need electricity. They need gas. Without electricity, you cannot use the gas. And yeah, I'm sure that the refrigeration facilities do have backup generators, but how much gas do you really think they have on hand to keep the generators going? Never mind the fact that most facilities that hold food like that only have about 30 days worth of food. And truthfully, I don't even think that the food would last 30 days because I think all of the people that work in these facilities and know where they're at and are going to go there, and they're going to take everything for themselves and their families. So when it gets to a point that you are solely responsible for finding and gathering food for yourself and your family, you're going to realize that there's absolutely no way the 7.5 billion people are all going to be able to survive off the land like that. It is just, there is not enough resources. The truth is that within the first 2 years of this Carrington Level event taking place, 90% of the population is going to die. They're going to die from starvation, illness, injuries, dehydration. They're going to die from fucking ignorance, stupidity. the remaining 10% of people hopefully have their shit together enough to start building back society little by little, because the power grids can be repaired. It's just going to take a decade or more to repair them. And like I said at the beginning, they're going to focus more on like hospitals and water treatment facilities and things of that nature. They're not going to focus on your fucking apartment. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but unfortunately, this isn't a if it happens situation. This is a when it happens situation. And historically, the government is known for not heeding the warning signs. You cannot rely on the government. The government is aware that these things could occur. They have not put the money and the resources towards the research and the preparation to prepare us, to prepare society for a Carrington level event to take place, because they don't think the risk of it is great enough. But what I don't understand is the risk on a normal day is 0.7%, but during the solar maximum, it jumps from 0.7% to 4%. How is that big fucking jump not a big enough risk for them to put the money and resources to preparation for this happening? So yeah, the government, bad vibes, bro. You cannot rely on them for shit. You are responsible for keeping yourself, your family, and your loved ones safe and fed when this happens. And again, I'm not trying to fearmonger, but this is not a if situation. This is very much a when situation. The likelihood of a Carrington level event taking place in mine or your lifetime, or I don't know, it's gonna happen, dude. That's all I can tell you, is it is going to happen. No cap, this shit scares the hell out of me. It didn't even occur to me that something like that could happen. And now that I've looked into it more, I've realized that it very much is a possibility. And the only thing I can suggest is to just be aware of it. Steadily prepare yourself. You know, you can buy like some books about like vegetation and how to grow plants and consume them. You can learn how to properly use weapons. It doesn't have to just be guns. It can be all kinds of different weapons. I don't think that it should entirely consume your life. I don't think you should live your life in fear, because you need to enjoy your life as it is right now. You just need to know enough and mentally prepare yourself for something like this to happen, because space is actively trying to kill us. I cannot stress that enough. Space wants us dead. It's going to kill us. Please, please, please just pay attention. Research, just educate yourself. I have read and researched so much about this topic in the last week. I've used YouTube, I've used Reddit, I've used my Safari, like my web browser. And what's crazy is that I've had to like specifically search these things. You know how normally the algorithm is like, oh, you've been into that for a minute, you keep like I keep getting hits for things like that, I'm going to start pushing this kind of information and these ads and this article and this at you. That hasn't happened with me. I'm not getting suggested articles or information related to the things I'm actively searching. Maybe it's just a coincidence and I'm crazy. Maybe it's not a coincidence. I don't know, bro. Not to be like some crazy tin hat conspiracy theorist, but I just find it really interesting. I genuinely think this shit is interesting. Also, bro, I've been fighting for my life the entire time I've been filming this because I am congested. I don't know if you guys can tell. You probably can. I don't know if sometimes it'll cut away and my nose is like super red. I have been fighting for my life. I am not sick. I feel great, but I'm congested. Is this a cold? Is it allergies? I won't know. It doesn't really fucking matter because the sun's gonna kill us soon anyways. It's about to be 2023. You got 2 years. Get ready, bro. Alright, I will see you guys all next time. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video.